Hola, buenos dias. Today I'm on the bus to Trinidad, which is around half an hour north of Encarnacion, and in Trinidad is one of the most famous historical sites in Paraguay, the Jesuit Mission of the Holy Trinity, which dates back to a Jesuit mission from the 1700s, I think. And I've arrived at the Encarnacion Terminal de Autobuses, Omnibus, the bus station in Encarnacion, and I just had to ask around which bus to get. Just been offered some local bread and water on the bus. I did have to ask around, so I'm on this sort of little minibus, and I asked the price before I got on. They said it cost 20,000, which is around £2-ish to get the return bus. I'm not sure yet, but I presume it will be from a similar position to where I get off. So I've just disembarked this bus here behind me, and you probably can't see, but that white sign on the front has the final destination of Hohenau. And if you're efficient in languages, European languages, you'll know that Hohenau doesn't sound Spanish, and Hohenau sounds like another European language, which I'll explain to you in another video when I do my tour of Encarnacion, the city itself. And straight as you come out of the bus on the main road, it's clear to see that you're in Trinidad, and you can see the entrance here, the sort of Jesuit entrance. I don't know if they've made this or if this was already here, but it should be around a 5 to 10 minute walk away to the Jesuit mission area. So far this has been a really nice and quiet area, and I'm about a 4 or 5 minute walk away from the Jesuit mission, and I found a Catholic church behind me with one of the gates open, so I've walked in. And it's just a small church here, but you can start to see the start of some of these buildings dotting around, and in that direction over there is where the Jesuits mission is. This was the building I was sort of pointing to when I was at the church behind me. You probably couldn't see it too well. That's the church, and I actually think that those two buildings that I just showed you are inside where the entrance to the mission area is, but I've got to walk around this path all the way around to the other side to actually enter, so I get a free view from this side. And to be honest, if you want to save yourself around £4, it's pretty decent. You can see the historical stone buildings here that they used in the old village that they created in the 17th century. And there's a football pitch here as well. Not very well maintained, but does a job. ¿Cuentas por un boleto?
Sí. Aquí le registramos necesitaríamos su documento, pasaporte.
Sí.
Para el registro y impresión del ticket. $40,000 guaraníes sería el costo.
Lo siento, lento, no.
40,000.
40, sí. Con crédito, creo. Okay. Sí, por favor.
Con crédito tiene un pequeño cargo.
Sí, pequeño, sí. Porque
sería,
no tengo mucho
sí.
guaraníes.
41,320.
Sí. Gracias.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
¿Hay un guía iniciando el recorrido en español?
Sí.
Adelante.
Muchas gracias y buen día. Hola.
Hay un guía que va a salir con el recorrido.
No entiendo, lo siento.
Una persona que explica.
Sí.
Sí, está en el acceso principal.
Okay. Muchas gracias. Sí. So I've paid for the ticket. I paid with credit card, so I had to pay an extra 3%, although I do get 1% cash back. So I ended up paying maybe 8 pence more with the credit card, maybe up to 10 pence more. I I think what they were saying was, as I was exiting, they should be providing a Spanish guide for me. I'm not sure if I particularly want it, but maybe I can practice my Spanish, or we'll see.
La misma entrada te sirve para otra.
Sí, para tres, sí. Sí, gracias.
La pequeña empezó ahora el recorrido.
Ah, guía aquí. Ah, gracias. ¿En español? Sí. Ah, okay. Gracias, aprendo. Yeah, so this is the guide group up ahead of me. I'll catch up and see if there's anything I can understand, but I can always walk around by myself after, or detach myself from the group. So there are other people here. And a ticket costs 40,000 if you pay with cash, and about 41,000 if you don't, so that's around £4. I think I just got bitten or invaded, or whatever the word is, by a tick. I didn't realise it was a tick at the time until I scraped it off. I've scraped it off and it looks like there was some still left in my arm, but I managed to squeeze it out, I think. So this behind me here is the main church of the Jesuit mission, Iglesia Mayor. And you can see the original floor dating back to the 1700s here as well. Here you can see a baptismal font, and I've decided, not just because it's in Spanish, but also because I like to do my own thing, to give you my own QZ tours of the place. So, let's go. La Santísima Trinidad de Paraná. Oh, nice birds behind me. Or the Most Holy Trinity of Paraná is the name of a former Jesuit reduction in Paraguay. It's an example of one of the many Jesuit reductions, small colonies established by the missionaries in various locations in South America, like Brazil, Argentina and Paraguay, throughout the 17th and 18th century. And the missions, these sort of areas behind me, they were built as self-contained societies that existed outside of regular Spanish colonial life that integrated indigenous populations with Christian faith. There was also a school, workshops, and it was a home for the local Indian population as well. And in the area of Paraná, where I am, on the border of Argentina and the Paraná River, this place is referred to by locals as the ruins of Trinidad, and it was one of the last Jesuit reductions to be created here in this area. It was finished in 1706, and at that time celebrations were held here, masses were held here, religious events were held here. It does have a sense of history to it when you're walking around, it definitely does. The really old stone. Since the 17th century it's been preserved reasonably well, in my opinion. The Jesuit expulsion from Spanish colonies in 1768 eventually led to the abandonment of Trinidad and the rest of the reductions, which were left to decay, and later on they were massacred by other Indians in the population looking for gold within the constructions. This ruin has maintained itself and remained one of the most well-preserved ruins to this day, and it's been named a UNESCO Heritage Site in Paraguay, and it's probably one of, if not the most famous sites in the country. And what's also interesting is, I think at the time when this place was being massacred and being destructed and looked for gold, they massacred the heads of the statues, especially in this church area, and that's why you can see, sorry, did I say massacred? Executed. They cut off the heads basically of all the statues in the church area, and you can see on these statues here the effect of that. This behind me here is a pulpit, and you can still see the engravings really quite clearly on here. So I'm now in the main area of the church, and you can see behind me there is a crypt just there, and the altar over there. Let me show you inside the crypt. You can see some old seating areas here, and oh, just stepped in a puddle. And this is as far as the crypt goes. Reasonably large for a crypt, I think. I'm not really too experienced with crypts. And this is what the altar looks like up close. And to the right there is a lithic museum. And This sign here is saying this is what the church used to look like in 1760, so you can see how much it is degraded from now, or how well it has held up. And these are fragments that have been found since. And as I exit the iglesia, the church, there is an orchard to my left, or behind the church. And lots of birds, by the sounds of it. And here's another angle from the right side of the main church of these famous ruins. When this place was thriving, they also had workshops here. And I'm going to show you the areas where they had several different sort of rooms where these workshops could take place. So just to the right is one there, and then you can see how it's split across these for the workers to do whatever works they were doing. A lot of it was based on construction at the time, but there was also some workshops being created for school, and the school was situated to the left of where the workshops were, and it doesn't really look like a school because when I flip my camera around you won't really see much except for small grassy bumps like these. But this is where the school was situated, along this section here. Almost looks a bit like Teletubbies, but a mini version. You can see the old blueprint of the school here. And now I'm just going to walk over to the place where I walked past earlier on my way to the entrance. Now, I haven't seen any information about this building, but I believe it was some kind of mill or something like that. Some kind of tool structure. So I remembered incorrectly, because this is what I remembered in my mind as some kind of mill, but that's the tool structure I meant, just on the side of this building. The tour group haven't come over here, so this is going to be a bit unknown. The door looks as though it's open. It doesn't look like many people have been in here, so let's go and take a look. Okay, so this looks like another church in the area of the old ruins. And just to my left out here is the entrance into the aforementioned taller building. Not sure I can actually fit through. So you can't go upstairs, but I'm in that area now. And definitely I can see why the tour group don't come in here, because there's lots of glass on the floor and it's quite difficult to get in and out. And on the back wall it says Niño Samuel. I'm not sure who that is. Maybe someone with more knowledge on the area can leave a comment below. And again, just to the left of that old church, there's a place that the tour group don't go to, and it looks like a nice little untouched place. You get to walk through these beams, and they're stretched all along behind me, you can see, and enter into these little old areas here. Now this is situated on the edge of the area of the ruins, like I said, by the road that I walked up earlier, just here. And again, there's no information here on what these areas were used for. I'm walking back towards the exit now, through this nice structure, here with a nice walkway. Now in this sort of tall rise section behind me, there are lots of little insects. It sounded a bit like Evolution or Indiana Jones, with that scene where all the bugs came out, and they had to sort of jump on top of things to get away from them. And there's also some kind of altar looking thing here as well. And I'm now at the entrance of the place I just walked through, and it says it's a church. So that would explain the altar and explain why it's a sort of larger building as well. And just to the left, unfortunately it looks like it's closed. Yes, it is padlocked. Is the bell tower right next to this church here. And look what I've found. Again, I think this is the first wild owl I've ever seen, I believe. Well, we know he can watch his six. Anything comes up behind him. Do it, do woo! Do it, do woo! Is he not up a bit early, that owl? Or maybe he went to bed really late last night? Because it's about midday here, so I thought they were nocturnal. So I'm now opposite the main church, which I sort of started the video at. And where the natives used to live was where I'm standing, along these two sections. One behind me here, and one stretching this way is the natives' housing. And es todos, that is everything here in the ruinas, the Jesuit Misión in Trinidad, Paraguay. And now I've just got to try and get the bus back to Encarnacion. Keep an eye on my YouTube channel because I'm hoping to upload another video of QZ city tour of Encarnacion, South Paraguay. And just to show you here on the exit, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And I'll test out my Spanish for the criteria for this place to become a UNESCO Heritage Site. I believe it says this area, the Santísima Trinidad de Paraná, is an exceptional example of Jesuit missioning, and the archaeological ruins are an urban representation of a fusion of cultures of Christianization in the population indigenous to the area with elements of traditional cultures. Lo siento por mi español. So I've just walked back towards the main road. I'm actually a bit further up the road than where I got off. Now I presume in this direction here, every bus that's passing is going to be heading towards Encarnacion. Not sure how it works, whether I have to get a particular bus, but I'm just going to stop the first bus. Well, stick my arm out anyway and try and pay 20,000 or less. I've been stood here for about 1 hour now, maybe, and one bus has ignored me so far. At the fourth time lucky, a bus stopped for me. It stopped about 50 metres in front of me, so I quickly ran towards it while I still could. I did ask a couple of people if I could hitchhike. Most of them, well, I think I was 3 people, 2 turned me down, and 1 was going in a different direction.